2 championship rings, a spot on the WNBA's most dominant dynasty, playing alongside her best friend, Aja Wilson. Sydney Colson had everything a veteran player could want in Las Vegas, and then she walked away from all of it to join a team that hadn't made the playoffs in nearly a decade. The decision stunned everyone who knew her, but what she revealed about that choice changes everything we thought we knew about the Indiana Fever's transformation. This wasn't about money. It wasn't about guaranteed minutes. It was about something deeper, a calling that Colson describes as spiritual. She felt pulled toward discomfort, toward challenge, toward a place where she could grow in ways a comfortable role on a championship team never would. And in choosing Indiana, she bet on something nobody else saw coming, that Caitlin Clark's Fever could become exactly what the WNBA needed. The phone call came during the heart of free agency. Indiana's new general manager, Amber Cox, and head coach Stephanie White were building something from scratch. They needed veterans who understood winning, but more importantly, they needed leaders who could cultivate culture. Colson was their priority target, not for her stats. She'd averaged just 2.5 points in 8 minutes per game for the Aces, but for everything the numbers couldn't measure. Cox made it clear from that first conversation. They wanted Colson to be a culture setter, someone who could bring championship mentality to a developing roster. They needed her personality, her leadership, her ability to make teammates better through presence rather than production. It was a completely different role than what she'd had in Vegas, where she was one piece among many stars. In Indiana, she'd be foundational. The offer put Colson at a crossroads. Stay in Las Vegas, where she'd won back-to-back titles in 2022 and 2023, where she knew the system, knew her role, knew success was almost guaranteed. Or take a leap into uncertainty with a team that had finished 20-20, barely making the playoffs before getting swept in the first round. From a pure basketball perspective, the smart move was obvious. Stay with the dynasty. But Colson describes what happened next as something beyond basketball calculation. She felt God pushing her toward discomfort. The older she'd gotten, the stronger her faith had become. And she'd learned to run toward the uncomfortable because she knew growth waited on the other side. This decision felt spiritually significant in ways that winning another championship in a familiar environment just didn't. She also saw something nobody else seemed to notice. The Fever weren't the disaster the league narrative suggested. Colson knew people within the organization. She'd played with Kelsey Mitchell and Athletes Unlimited, trusted the new front office leadership, admired Clark and Aaliyah Boston's games. The public perception was broken franchise with impossible expectations. Her insider knowledge said otherwise. This team had pieces. They just needed the right veterans to pull it together. Making the decision official meant accepting genuine uncertainty. Colson was 35 years old. She'd been in the league since 2011. These late career moves carry risk. If the team struggled, if the culture didn't gel, it could tarnish a legacy built on winning. But she signed the one-year deal anyway, trusting that wherever she was being led, there was a lesson she needed to learn. The reaction around the league was immediate. People were genuinely surprised. Colson wasn't just another veteran chasing a paycheck. She was Aja Wilson's best friend, a core part of the Aces championship culture. Her leaving felt like a statement, intentional or not, about where she thought the league's momentum was shifting, and it shifted attention to Indiana in ways the front office couldn't have bought with any marketing campaign. What Colson found when she arrived in Indiana was exactly what she'd been told to expect, and also completely different. The talent was undeniable. Clark was every bit the generational player scouts had promised. Boston was developing into a dominant two-way center. Mitchell provided veteran scoring. But the pressure surrounding this team was unlike anything Colson had experienced. Even in championship environments, everyone was watching. Every game felt like a referendum on whether the Fever could justify the hype. And at the center of it all was a 23-year-old who'd never experienced anything like this level of scrutiny. Colson immediately recognized what most people missed. Clark wasn't just carrying basketball pressure. She was carrying the weight of unprecedented attention, financial expectations, and constant judgment that came with being the WNBA's most marketable star before she'd played a full professional season. Colson's perspective came from years of experience and 2 championship runs. She'd seen how pressure breaks young players who don't have proper support systems. She'd watched talented rookies crumble under far less scrutiny than what Clark faced daily. So she made it her mission to show Clark a different path, one where you could be elite without losing yourself to the pressure. Their relationship developed naturally. Colson saw Clark's lighter side, the sense of humor and personality that got buried under all the expectations and analysis. She made sure that side had room to breathe, that Clark didn't feel like she had to be on every single moment. The veteran's approach was simple: be authentic, have fun, remember why you love this game in the first place. Then came the injuries. Clark's season got derailed by a quad strain, then groin issues that would ultimately limit her to just 13 games. For a player who'd never dealt with significant injuries before, the adjustment was brutal. Watching from the sidelines while your team struggles, feeling helpless, losing connection with the daily rhythm. It's isolating in ways fans don't understand. This is where Colson's purpose became clearest. She wasn't in Indiana just to play basketball. She was there to guide a young superstar through adversity that could define her career. Their conversations during Clark's injury rehab focused on leadership from unexpected places. Colson pushed Clark to stay vocal even when she couldn't physically contribute, to use the time to strengthen relationships with teammates, to understand that leadership isn't just about on-court production. The message was consistent. Don't let this be a wasted season just because you're injured. Your value extends beyond what you do with a basketball. Learn to lead in new ways. Stay connected to your teammates. Grow in areas you couldn't focus on while playing. The mental toughness you build now will serve you for years. It was mentorship born from genuine care, not obligation. What impressed Colson most was Clark's receptiveness. Despite all the attention and success, Clark genuinely wanted to improve as a leader. She absorbed the veteran's guidance, stayed engaged with the team, worked on the intangible aspects of her game that statistics never capture. Colson could see the evolution happening in real time, a superstar learning that greatness requires more than talent. The injuries didn't stop with Clark. Eventually, Colson herself suffered a torn ACL, another devastating blow to a season already filled with setbacks. The Fever were losing player after player to season-ending injuries, including 5 key contributors by playoffs. This should have destroyed team morale, fractured the locker room, ended any championship aspirations. Instead, something remarkable happened. The culture Colson and the other veterans had been building showed its strength. Instead of the injured players disconnecting, they stayed engaged. They attended practices, offered advice, remained vocal presences, even from the bench. The bench mob became as much a part of the team's identity as the players on the court. Humor became therapy, keeping spirits high through circumstances that would have broken most teams. This resilience came directly from the foundation Colson helped establish from day one. She'd preached authenticity, connection, finding joy even in difficult moments. Now, when the team faced its darkest stretch, those principles held them together. They didn't fracture. They grew closer. And somehow, incredibly, they kept winning games they had no business winning. The Fever made the playoffs despite the injuries. They upset the Atlanta Dream in the first round. They pushed the Las Vegas Aces, Colson's former team, to 5 games in the semifinals before finally falling short. For a roster missing 6 players, including their best player, it was nothing short of remarkable. And the culture that made it possible started with veterans like Colson choosing Indiana when nobody expected them to. The move brought unexpected rewards Colson couldn't have anticipated. In Las Vegas, she was one personality among many stars. In Indiana, playing alongside the league's most marketable player on its most watched team, her profile exploded. She landed national commercials with major brands like TJ Maxx and Alley. She got her own show, unsupervised with TP. She became a genuine face of the league's expansion, her authentic personality resonating with the WNBA's rapidly growing audience. This visibility came from being in the right place at the right time. The Fever, amplified by Clark's arrival, created economic and media opportunities that benefited everyone on the roster. Brands wanted to be part of that momentum, And Colson's infectious energy made her an ideal ambassador. She'd taken a risk leaving guaranteed success in Vegas, and it paid off in ways she never imagined. But Colson frames the success differently than most would. It wasn't about chasing fame or financial gain. It was about authenticity creating opportunities. She stayed true to herself, leaned into discomfort when her faith told her to, and let the right people find her. The platform came as a byproduct of doing things for the right reasons. That's the lesson she hopes inspires others. Bet on yourself, trust your instincts, stay authentic to who you are. Looking ahead to 2026, the foundation Colson helped build becomes Indiana's greatest asset. They have a young core led by a generational talent. They have veterans who've proven they can win championships and cultivate winning culture. They have chemistry forged through adversity that most teams never experience. And they have confidence that comes from achieving far more than anyone expected while missing their best players. Colson's future with the Fever remains uncertain. She's 36 years old, rehabbing a torn ACL, facing the reality that this injury could end her playing career. But her impact on this franchise isn't measured in games played or points scored. It's measured in the culture shift that transformed Indiana from league laughingstock to legitimate contender in one season. That doesn't disappear whether she plays again or not. The decision that stunned everyone in free agency now looks like one of the smartest moves anyone made. Colson chose growth over comfort. She chose building something over maintaining something. She chose faith over calculation. And in doing so, she helped create exactly what she predicted. A team that changed minds about what the Indiana Fever could be. The story isn't about rejecting anyone or exposing conspiracies. It's about a veteran champion recognizing potential that others missed. It's about mentorship that goes beyond teaching basketball plays. It's about culture mattering as much as talent. And it's about trusting that sometimes the uncomfortable path leads exactly where you need to be. Sydney Colson walked away from guaranteed championships to join a team nobody believed in. She did it for reasons that had nothing to do with basketball logic and everything to do with personal growth. And in the process, she helped transform the Indiana Fever from struggling franchise into a team that could genuinely compete for titles. That's not a conspiracy. That's leadership. That's faith. That's what happens when the right person makes the right choice for all the right reasons.